There is no way that you can look at this in the short term, Scott, and say that this is bullish. Of course it's bearish, which is why then we immediately slammed down to 40,000.
China cracking down and leading to a massive plunge in the price of Bitcoin over the past 24 hours.
We had exactly the same issue with the internet, right? At about this time, right, 1997, everyone's like, oh God, what do we do with this? 150 million people, same number as using crypto right now. This is the Wild West. Who's liable for what gets published? How does this work? How do we regulate it? Well, it started with a tough line and it finished with a grand compromise, which allowed the industry to flourish. And that's the point about regulation. The moment it's cleared up, the thing will absolutely explode, because then it's going to go total full adoption. So we have to go through this. The internet went through it, and it will get solved. All assets have leverage, and it's like it's blamed on hedge funds in the S&P, and it's blamed, there's always somebody to blame it on. And yes, it's because humans love leverage. They cannot help themselves. They just want to have more of something. And so, yes, Asian leverage at like 10x or 20x leverage causes price spikes, and it's just a feature of the market. Now, we've seen leverage coming down. The 100x products are all kind of starting to reduce down to 10x. What's beautiful about leverage in the crypto market versus the futures market is if you go in the futures market and you get leverage, you get a margin call. And if the market's then down again the next day, your margin still goes up, and you've got to deliver that margin, and there's settlement time, and you can get yourself in a world of pain. If you're trading agricultural commodities, they can go limit down for a week, and you're trying to pay margin all the time, and you can bankrupt yourself easily. Crypto's beautiful because it's fully collateralized. So the moment it hits the margin limit, it's liquidated. That's why it's volatile. That volatility is a key feature that makes crypto as a market so robust.
Yeah.
Because you can't have a situation where somebody can't meet their margin call, because there are no margin calls, because it's instant liquidation. So you're trading off the big risk for these smaller risks. Yes, and leverage can build up in a bull market, so the risk can be bigger, but over time, you don't have the institution going under side of the issue, or big investment house going under. It's not a feature of the space within retail. Obviously, we'll screw that all up because the hedge funds will take too much leverage and somebody else will. That's humans. We just always abuse leverage. I just had my global macro investor roundtable, and normally we would have spent a long time talking about currency markets, stuff like that. We kind of flicked over all of that. Everybody is more interested in the crypto side of things, which I've been talking about for a while. Crypto and macro have merged. That's what Skybridge is telling you. That's what Global Macro Investor tells us. It's merged, and it's not from speculative activity like, the price is going up, so we're all interested. I mean, everybody's building businesses. So, it's fascinating. It's a really, really big movement. And this has been my thesis for some time. And I pointed it out back in March 2020 as like, these worlds have collided. You're just about to find out about it. And now everybody can see. And, my guess is the ETF comes off in the next month or two. That'll be another wave of adoption. And before you know it, it's a fully financialized product, i.e. it's part of the offering of all of the investment banks, the asset management firms, everybody. That's all to come. Well, I've talked about this at length, is there's a whole group who are very smart that say, listen, I'm actually just interested in the monetary aspects of Bitcoin, and that's what I want to focus on. Absolutely fine. There's a bunch that say, listen, I've looked at this, and I think that Bitcoin is going to end up being entirely dominant because of this monetary aspect and the security of the network. And that's fine, but they have to see that there is a probability that something else could. And then there's a bunch of people who just don't want to hear. And those are the people who tend to be driven to protect tribally their network. Because if it's network adoption, then they need to protect their network at all costs. Well, kind of Ethereans and others tend to be more aware of the broader network itself, of all of this being part of a larger network, and that the rising tide lifts all boats. And my point of view has always been, I think the market cap goes from 2 trillion to 200 trillion in the next 10 years. And there's plenty of room for everybody. Nobody's eating anybody's pie here. All the pies are going to grow. So, you know, as Solana grows, it's only helping the Ethereum ecosystem grow, and it's only going to help Bitcoin grow because more people come into the space. The pie is growing. It's all going up in value over time. Nothing is going to change versus the macro backdrop of network adoption. So we're at the point in the cycle where network adoption is very strong. I don't see a change in that. So really it's where are we and when does this correction finish, which I think finishes in the next 2 or 3 days, if my work is right. And then if I'm right, we should start to see accelerated moves. So that's what I'm looking for, something to confirm my thesis. And my thesis is based that October, November, December are ridiculous. So I use a lot of charts for that. Start to look at, you know, how some of the other protocols and tokens are performing versus Ethereum and Bitcoin, because we should see a further out on the risk curve still. So we should see, you know, over time that that Ether Bitcoin cross, I think that's got almost up to the 0.08. It came down again. Where is it now? 0.07. I think once it goes through 0.08, that'll be the signal for the next phase in this whole crypto market, which is usually the rewarding phase. But it's just a thesis, and it could change. So I don't know. But you know, I'm not changing or doing anything. You know, I added the dip last week, earlier this week, and I have no cash left to put in the market. So that's it.
I think that the number one critique right now of Bitcoin is it's volatile, but I don't think it's volatile because it's digital property, digital energy, or because of all of the constructive uses of it. I think it's volatile because there's too much leverage in the offshore crypto exchanges and the altcoins. I think that what's happening is someone buys an altcoin with a 10x lever, it moves up 20%. They cross-collateralize into the second altcoin, and then they somehow collateralize that, or they tie that into Bitcoin. I think that 20x and 100x leverage in the offshore crypto exchanges has been driving the volatility in Bitcoin.